Greetings, folks. I'm Tim Mendees. Welcome to a very special reading. This is one that hasn't been scheduled. First of all, let me say happy Thanksgiving to all my friends, publishers, and readers over in the United States. This is intended as a thank you for your continued support. I wrote this yesterday when I realised that it was Thanksgiving today, and I thought I'd go ahead and deliver you a very special Thanksgiving treat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the story, then I'll tell you a little bit about it afterwards, and I've got a little bit of information about some upcoming things like in the next couple of weeks, so I'll tell you that before I go. Right, so I'm just going to go straight ahead and read it. This is Feathers of Fear. If you're after my birds, asshole, I'll put a bullet in your melon head. The clattering, banging and muttering of hushed voices had abruptly stopped as Bob neared the barn that housed his 80-plus plump turkeys. He was sure that the disturbance was something to do with Vince. He should have fired that creepy bastard months ago. Leaving it until November was just asking for trouble. The other hands had warned him that he was up to something with his weird old books and candlelight chanting in his rusty trailer. Bob should have expected him to come back tonight. After all, it was slaughter day tomorrow. Bob broke open his trusty shotgun and inserted 2 shells loaded with rock salt and buckshot. If someone was after his livelihood, he was damn sure that their death would hurt, and hurt bad. Damn you, Vince! I'll fix you good! Snapping the barrel shut, he marched with purpose towards the barn. Vince had found himself on Bob's personal shit list after the discovery of 2 of his prized bourbon reds with their throats cut in the woods behind his home. Suspicion quickly fell on the gangly youth due to the ritual nature of the cult. Feathers and blood had been daubed and placed on a cinder block in a strangely overlapping star design. Yellowish wax from foul tallow candles had been mixed and blended with the poor bird's innards into a glistening paste, then painted on the ground in a circle around the stars with a bundle of bound feathers. Bob had flown into an incandescent rage and threatened to beat the name of the perpetrator from the assembled hands. It didn't take long for each one of them to point their grimy fingers in Vince's direction. Storming up to Vince's trailer, with his fists balled and his teeth clenched, he thundered on the door and demanded that Vince show his face. And as soon as the door opened, his fate was sealed. Stinking of moonshine and festering blood, Vince staggered into the light with bloodshot eyes. Bob looked him up and down and practically exploded at the sight of bloodstains and ginger feathers ingrained in the man's tatty dungarees. In the next second, Vince was on his backside with a bloody nose and told to have his trailer gone by sundown or it would be set on fire. Vince did as he was told. Vince's actions had confused more than one of his fellow hands. He had always professed a love for the unfortunate creatures that had bordered on the paternal. Bob hadn't given his motivations a moment's thought, though. He just wanted him gone. In the week following the incident, Bob had deeply regretted not going further than flattening Vince's nose. Now he was fixing to right that regret. Yanking the weathered wooden doors to the barn wide, he stepped into the darkness with his finger on the trigger. "Show yourself! I'll make it quick!" The interior of the barn was still, preternaturally so. His heart skipped as his eyes adjusted to the gloom, and he didn't see a single turkey in the shallow cone of vision afforded by his low-power flashlight. There should have been pandemonium. Startled turkeys usually erupted into a frenzy of mad gobbling and flapping feathers, but not tonight. "Nobody messes with my goddamn birds, asshole! Show yourself!" The only sound was the gentle clanking of the feeding apparatus. Grumbling obscenities, he stalked towards the inner gate, opened the mesh door, and stepped into the run. Peering ahead, he became suddenly aware of a huge black mass at the back of the room. It was his turkeys. Every one of them was huddled at the rear of the run, staring at him with their glistening black eyes. "They aren't your birds anymore, Bob," a hollow-sounding voice announced from the rafters. Shifting his flashlight upwards, he revealed Vince's grinning face, leering down at him. "Get your ass down here!" Vince chuckled and took cover behind a stout wooden beam. "I don't think so, Bob. You'll have to get your fat ass up here and bring me down." Bob snarled and rushed forward before coming to a sudden stop as an icy chill gripped his heart and gave it a good squeeze. Fighting for breath, he flashed the light around him and was aghast to see that he was standing in the dead centre of another circle of wax and giblets. A dizzying cyclone of straw, corn and turkey droppings rose around him, pelting and scratching at his ruddy features. Stepping out of the shadows, Vince stood above Bob, laughing manically, with a mason jar of hot, sticky blood in his hands. "Mankind has said thanks for far too long, don't you think?" What are you talking about, you crazy bastard?" Bob's ire was cut short as Vince upturned the jar and covered his head in turkey blood. "It's time for the turkeys to give thanks." "Ie! Ie! Gubathaka!" Bob screamed as two swirling purple eyes appeared above the horde of turkeys at the back of the room. They glowed, shimmered, casting the bar in oddly unnatural shadows. Trying desperately to move, Bob looked in horror as an enormous hooked beak appeared under the eyes. It would have been a mercy if that had been the true extent of the horror, but sadly it wasn't. In place of a turkey's wattle was a writhing mass of slippery tentacles that whipped and coiled in the air just above the turkey army. On the point of fear-induced apoplexy, Bill could only stare in terror as the turkey god, Gubathaka, unleashed a hellish din and sent his kin on the attack. Feathers flew, blood splattered as the turkeys fell on their prey. They pecked and scrabbled at the farmer's neck until his blood had joined the circle and his head was severed. One slender tentacle lashed across the barn and snagged Bob's noggin. With a crunch and a splat, Gubathaka enjoyed his feast and gave thanks for his release. The assembled guests at the annual Arkham County Farming Society Thanksgiving Feast were mildly perplexed when they sat down in the Miskatonic University canteen and glanced at the menu. For a start, there was no turkey on the menu, not a wing, not a drumstick. Burly men in pilgrim hats grumbled amongst themselves at the break in tradition. The other thing that ruffled their feathers was the inexplicable absence of Bob Whately, Dunwich's premier turkey farmer. Their displeasure was quickly quietened by the arrival of the mayor. After the mayor's droning speech and the rasping pop of the military band, the students from the catering college across town appeared with trays of steaming hot food. All gripes were quickly forgotten as the head chef unveiled the turkey substitute for that year, a massive joint of roast pork. As the chef set about divvying out the generous portions, nobody questioned the general length of the porker, nor the strange brand on the charred skin. Sure, it may have looked like a tattoo of a turkey and a gun's crosshairs, but it was obviously some kind of prank. In the end, the guests went away happy with full bellies and a rosy glow. The meal had been superb. From the corner of the canteen, masquerading as a waiter, Vince chuckled as his foe was devoured. His god would be very thankful indeed. The end. Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of ridiculousness. This came about yesterday. I'm currently in the middle of. I've got that to that point in my in the in the year basically. Well, I've got like about 8 deadlines by the end of January, so I'm kind of doing several things at once, and I'm working on 2 large work in progresses at the moment. And my brain was kind of fizzing yesterday afternoon, and I just sort of like taking a break, and I was just mucking about on the internet, and I realised what date it was. So I started looking up stupid pictures of turkeys, like evil turkeys, like turkeys with devil horns and turkeys with machine guns and all these kind of vicious demonic turkeys. And I came across this one that made me giggle. And I got this light bulb moment for this idea for a drabble, right? And I thought, oh, that'd be a nice little thing to do for my American readers, is do a drabble for Thanksgiving. And I was just going to post it on my Facebook thing. Well, a lot of people who watched these before or know me will know that I can't keep to word counts if you held a gun to my head. That drabble quickly became, it's like, right, I've gone over the limit. Let's make it a 500 story, 500 words. Well, went over that limit. I was like, oh, right, okay, let's make it a 1,000 word. You get the gist. So let's just call it flash fiction. Yeah, it was just one of them stories that kind of, I wrote it about an hour and a half or something. It just sort of came out like fully formed in a stream of consciousness. And I was really quite pleased with it. I was really quite happy with it. So I thought, right, well, I'll publish it on my blog, on my website. Why the hell not go and do a video while I'm at it? So here you are. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's meant as a thank you to my continued support from my American friends and readers. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. It's not published anywhere else, so it probably won't likely be. It might turn up in a collection of mine at some point. But for now, it's free. So if you want to read it, because I've put the actual story itself on my website. So what you need to do is go there. It's timmendeeswriter.wordpress. Oh no, what is it? Yeah, timmendeeswriter.wordpress.com. So that's timmendeeswriter.wordpress.com. Yeah, and you'll find it on there. That's if you've gone straight to the YouTube clip. If you haven't, you're on there already. All right. Before I go, I'll just tell you a little thing of what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be doing another special at some point in the very near future. It's going to be a very festive special. I've had a story accepted by WPC Press for their holiday. It's called Holiday Spirit, and it's a festive December themed thing. So I've done a particularly weird take on Christmas called The Abomination That Came for Christmas. Yeah, I'm delighted that got published, and that it's getting published. Anyway, that releases in late December. So I'm going to be doing a Christmas special reading of that when it releases, or just before or just after, something like that. Anyway, but obviously, if you want to keep up to date with all my live readings and all my live sort of nonsense, you need to go to my Facebook page. It's probably the easiest thing, because I tend to do the live things through the Facebook and then upload them to YouTube later. So yeah, it's www.facebook.com/Goat in the Machine. All one word, all lowercase. That's Goat in the Machine. And tomorrow, big news. In fact, let me just backtrack a little bit. On Wednesday, Black Hair Press launched their biopunk anthology Wetware, which contains my story Raw Materials. Now, they have another release coming on the 30th. Now, tomorrow, which is Friday the 27th of November. Friday the 27th of November, I'm going to be doing a very special live book launch. I'm going to be joined by Holly Cornetto, Chris Banner, David Green, and Trisha McKee. Now, we all did a prequel drabble to the main drabble, to the main story in the anthology. So what we're going to do is we're going to read them tomorrow, and we're going to talk a lot about our stories and things like that, because it was a very cool concept that Black Hair came up with. Every story had to be named after a song. And sort, inspired by a song. Now, I chose as my inspiration one of my favourite bands, the Sisters of Mercy. I chose their second single from 1982, Body Electric. So yeah, we're going to get to talk about all that kind of stuff, and it should be a good laugh. And there'll be a live Q&A. And these things always turn into a good laugh when you get a bunch of writers jabbering at each other. It's always good fun. So yeah, join me. That'll be on Friday the 27th. At 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which, if you're in the States, that is 4 in the afternoon Eastern, 3 in the afternoon Central, 2 in the afternoon Mountain, and 1 in the afternoon Pacific. Look at that. I remembered it without a scrap of paper to remind me. That's a first. Unfortunately, that is also 6 in the morning on Saturday for Australia. Unavoidable, unfortunately, time zones being what they are. But if you miss it live, doesn't matter. It'll be uploaded straight onto our YouTube after it's completed, and it'll go off through there, and you can watch it at any time. It'll also be available to repeat on Facebook. So yeah, but once again, just before I go, to tune into that, all you need to do at the right time, go on my Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/Goat in the Machine. Okay, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed writing it. I was chuckling all the way through, going, "Moo, killer turkeys." Oh yeah, and yes, you are right. I have created a Lovecraftian turkey god called Gobu Thaka. Had to be done. Okay, thank you, and until next time, well, until tomorrow, take it easy, and again, yeah, thanks. Good night, good evening, goodbye.